Hello and welcome to Sunday Fun Day.
Sunday Fun Day.
Sunday Fun Day. All right. So hitch up and toe. Hello and welcome. You were first. And we had also hitch up and toe like Sundays because they get cake.
Cake.
I want cake every Sunday. I need to start implementing that rule.
Yeah.
Then we have MelNette come in. We have Lucky Dog Productions moderator Sue. We have 50 Angela. And I think that's it for now. Hitch up and toe said boo. I think POA comes on for their premiere at the same time we start. So I'm sure other people will come in a little bit. So today we don't have a spooky one. We have a true crime story, correct?
True crime. Yep, that's correct.
Well, let's get this up here and get it started. Oh, we have, I'm just going to say 150 in here. Hello, 150. Oh, I got to learn to pause. Right, we're going to back that up.
It's Natasha's mom.
Oh,
hey.
Okay. Then we have John Chalker, and we have Oracles and Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, hello. How would you say that? Icar?
Yeah, I would say Icar.
Icar?
Yeah.
You see, I'm just not good at pronouncing anything. Char of Hearts, hello and welcome. All right. So when the suspect is a victim.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun. And this is Ryan Waller.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you go first.
Okay. Ryan Waller needed medical attention to save his life, but questionable police work prevented that from happening. Oh.
LaCar.
LaCar.
All right.
Thank you.
See, I didn't even know that was an L. I thought it was an I. See how
know,
terrible I am at English?
And we got Nursing Our Travel Bug.
And that is our mother.
Mm-hmm.
Fordman, a.k.a. Kenneth Oakes. Hello and welcome. Hello, everyone. All right. Questionable police work, huh? Hello, Linda Barker.
Yeah.
On December 23rd, 2006, Ryan Waller and his girlfriend, Heather Quan, were having a quiet night at their apartment when there was a knock on the door. Waller cracked it open and a gun was pointed at him. Trying to prevent the intruder from entering, Waller pushed against the door and was shot in the face. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hello, Christina Bell. Heather Quan. She's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Two men walked into the apartment and shot Waller one more time. Then they turned their sights onto Heather Quan, who they shot in the head, killing her. The men grabbed weapons and a computer before leaving. They thought they had killed both occupants, but Waller was still alive.
That shocks me whenever somebody gets shot in the head or the face and they still manage to stay alive. I cannot imagine how terrifying that would be.
Yeah.
Also, how? I mean, that's such a small area. I just don't. That is a miracle. Those are miracle moments.
Mm-hmm.
2 days later, Waller failed to show up at his parents' house for Christmas dinner. Concerned, his father called the police to do a wellness check. 2 days later?
2 days later, and he's still alive.
Oh my goodness. 2 days. The investigation.
The Phoenix police arrived on the scene to discover the deceased Heather Quan, but Waller was somehow alive. He had a severe black eye that was swollen shut, and it looked like he had taken a couple of good punches.
That is crazy. Picture taken before interrogation. Yeah, he does look like he got beat up.
Yeah.
This story is so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two days. Man. Waller was put in the back of a squad car as the police investigated the crime scene. Medics were called to figure out what happened to Heather Quan, but nobody checked out Waller while he sat in the back of a cop car. What? Oh.
Yeah. The police transported Waller to the station for interrogation. Before they questioned him, they reportedly took 43 pictures of his injuries. From the start, the detectives didn't believe anything Waller was saying. His answers didn't make sense due to his serious head injury.
Sure his answers didn't make sense. He got shot in the head. Christina Bell said, I need tissues. Nursing Our Travel Bug said, wowzers, he got a beat down for sure. I am with you, Christina Bell. This is sad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't. He survived for 2 days, and now he's in a police interrogation. And this is all after being shot in the face.
Apparently, they thought it was domestic, is what I'm assuming, because of the way his face looked.
Yeah. This one's yours?
No, it's yours.
Oh, okay. Instead of taking him to the hospital, the policeman allegedly took him to the interrogation, where he was kept for the next 2 hours, bewildered by what had happened. Okay, so he survives 2 days in his apartment after being shot in the face, and now he's spent 2 hours being questioned?
Yep.
That's not counting how many hours it took them to get him out of the apartment in the police car over to the police station.
It's crazy.
Even if they just thought he was beat up and didn't think that he was shot, you still think they would have gotten his injuries checked. I mean, he didn't look okay.
Right. Just taking photos isn't enough.
No,
they're not actually looking.
Yeah, they should have had him checked out by the hospital with as bad as he looked.
Right. He tells the detectives interviewing him that he was shot in the eye. The detective scuffed at his declaration and told him that if he had been shot in the eye, then he wouldn't be sitting there. He would be dead.
A lot of people would think that. I mean, you would think that. But also, why not check into it? I mean, he doesn't look good. Florida Man said, hello to everyone I've missed in the chat that I didn't get to tag. Tagging everybody is so hard. Thank you, Nursing Our Travel Bug. 10 folks in the chat, but only 7 likes. Be sure to hit that thumbs up. Please do. Thank you. All right. This is sad. Police interrogation. Waller kept asking if he could go home and go to bed, to which the detective told him he wouldn't be going home. Critical time kept ticking away, and the nonsensical responses didn't help matters. I'm sure he didn't make much sense. He was shot in the head.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to see the interrogation, they have the whole interrogation on YouTube.
Do they?
Yeah.
I still can't get past even if they didn't think he was shot, they could see that he was beaten up very badly. Like that eye, there's a long story too. My son had blunt force trauma to his eye, and it looked just like that. As soon as we took him to the hospital, they marked it as blunt force trauma and started doing like trauma level like
Testing.
because they wanted to make sure that his brain wasn't swollen. All these things weren't wrong. So when I look at that, I'm like, why didn't he get that treatment? Why would, like,
Right.
even if you just thought he got beat up, it should have still been like, oh my gosh, this is bad, and had it.
And I'm thinking, since he wasn't discovered, or they weren't discovered for 2 days, that eye, was swollen so bad that you couldn't even see where he was shot. Probably covered up the bullet.
Yeah, but even if they just thought it was a punch to the eye, it's still severe enough that it needed medical attention.
Yeah.
At least I would think so.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Buckeye Kitty. Plus, he wasn't making sense, so that would lead you to believe that he had something wrong.
Right. For some reason, it took the detectives a really long time to figure out why the young man sitting before him was failing to make cohesive statements.
Yeah, see, that's the problem I have too, is he's not making sense. Why are you still questioning him? Like, you're not, that to me doesn't add up either. If he's not making sense, you need to get him medical help. This makes me sad for him.
Yeah.
Part of the problem with the interrogation was that Waller did drop some truths about the actual perpetrators. They may have thought he was on drugs. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Still, though, I would want to get him checked out at the hospital. If he's not making sense, he's got the bruises. Maybe he's on drugs. Maybe he's going to have an overdose. I don't know. It just seems.
Yeah.
Hello, Three Souls Paranormal and Dreaming Out Loud RVing. Hello, hello.
Hello. He mentioned the name of Richie Carver, who was an old roommate of his. Waller told police that it was Carver who shot them, but within his nonsensical statements, this was initially dismissed.
Oracles and Beyond, thank you so much for sharing us out. I appreciate that. Well, at least he was able to tell who shot him.
Yeah.
The revelation and aftermath. Most of the damage was done by the time he was found, unfortunately. Yeah, I guess that's true. 2 days in his apartment, I'm sure there's not much they could fix at that point. You know what I mean? Because, like, you would have to be treated pretty quickly after having some kind of damage like that for to be able to reverse any of it. Six hours after the Phoenix police discovered Waller and Heather Quan's bodies, the interviewing detective realized that something bad had happened to Waller. The detective moved closer to him and started taking inventory of his injuries. 6 hours. Jeez.
When he grabbed his head, Waller whimpered that his head hurt really bad. The tough-talking detective immediately became caring and said he was going to have a paramedic take a look at his injury. At that moment, he realized that Waller had probably been shot and uncuffed him.
Wonder what made him at that moment, like, okay, he whimpered about his head, but what made him, like, all of a sudden connect the dots 6 hours into this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shannon Craft said that she's getting a lot of buffering, but she's going to try to keep up. Thank you. I appreciate that. Tinks, hello. It's been a while, but here's your big Irish hello and like. Thank you so much, Tinks. All right. 6 hours. Jeez.
It's crazy.
Paramedics look at his injuries. You would think his clothes would have shown something too. Well, maybe he changed clothes in the time that he was at his apartment. 6 hours. Poor guy.
He probably doesn't even remember what he did after that.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, if he was thinking normally, or if everything was working up here, he probably would have called for help or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whose turn it is.
I'll go.
Okay.
It is still unclear why it took the police so long to recognize the dire situation Waller was in. Possibly because they thought he was responsible for killing his girlfriend. But even so, he still should have been given medical attention.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if you thought he was guilty, if you want him to serve time for the crime that he committed, you should have got him some medical attention. He looks terrible.
Yeah.
What did he do that entire time with his girlfriend laying there dead? Like, what was he doing the entire time?
Yeah.
After being transported to the hospital, Waller had to be rushed into surgery. The shot had actually torn a chunk of Waller's skull and permanently manged his brain. Manged his brain. He even had to remove both of his eyes due to the injuries. Oh my goodness.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my goodness. So he wasn't even able to. Oh.
No, and the whole time during the interrogation, all he kept saying is he wanted to go to sleep. So he was just totally out of it, and the injury and the pain he was having, he just wanted to go to sleep. The staff determined he had indeed been shot twice in the head. The strength he showed through the whole ordeal did end up helping the police. They sought Richie Carver, Waller's old roommate, and his father, Larry, for the crime.
That's some good parenting there.
Yeah.
Going and robbing somebody together. What the heck? Robbing your old roommate, too.
Mm.
The Carvers would be apprehended a short time later. The motives for the shooting vary. Some have said that Waller and Richie had gotten into a physical altercation while they were roommates that ended with both men pointing guns at each other.
Others have said that Richie hit on Heather Quan, leading Waller to kick him out of the apartment. There is very little information available on the aspects of the actual crime.
Maybe it was a mix of both. Maybe it was he hit on his girlfriend and then he confronted him about it and then guns got drawn. Maybe it's both stories all mixed into one.
Yeah.
In June 2008, Richie would be convicted of felony murder, burglary, aggravated assault, and misconduct involving weapons. His sentence was a term of natural life. So he's just going to spend his life in prison.
Yeah.
You know, I could be wrong about this. This is the way I feel. You all let me know in the comments over there. But if somebody is 100% proven to have murdered somebody, like there's no doubt, there's no question that all the evidence shows that they did it, plus maybe they admit they did it. Okay. I believe the death penalty for that. I know the death penalty is like a touchy subject. I'm not saying if they can't prove 100%, because there are people that go to jail and are innocent. I get that. But there are so many people that it's 100% proven. There's no question about it. And they are not getting the death penalty. And I don't understand that, because our jails, our prisons are so backed up with so many people in there.
Yeah,
And even
they're pretty
people
full.
that do get the death penalty, they're in there for so long before they're, actually put to death. So I don't know. I just think that might help with the population problem if like, without a doubt, this person's guilty of murder. An eye for an eye. I don't know, kind of thing for me.
Yeah.
Yes, they waste all the resources on dead men walking. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. John Chalker said, "Nice to see you all. Sounds like the detective didn't do his job correctly." Yeah, it sounds like in the beginning he was not doing what he needed to do. Yeah, I don't understand that whole spending their life in prison. Like, if they're going to spend their life in prison, then why not just, I'm sure some of them want that as well, because who wants to spend their life in prison? You know what I mean? I don't know. Richie Carver, you look evil.
He looks like a punk.
That's what I don't understand right there, what Linda Barker said. She said maybe they plea bargained to get out of the death penalty. I don't think that should be allowed.
Yeah.
I don't think those plea bargains to get out of the death penalty should be there. You can plea bargain for a lot of other things, but plea bargaining to get out of the death penalty, it's like, I don't know. I just don't get it. I get plea bargains when it's going to give a family peace. Like, say somebody murders somebody and they don't know where that body is. If the family wants to plea bargain to find out where their loved one is, then that's that family's choice. I get that. I, may want that too. But in this case, they knew where everybody was. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Danny Staten said, "Wow, nightmares are real." I think it's your turn.
Larry would initially get off because most of the evidence used against him was based on a confession he gave his wife. When she invoked her rights of marital privilege and refused to testify, Larry would remain free.
I guess here's where we're going to find out about the plea bargain. Heather Quan's family appealed to Arizona legislators to use what would become known as Heather's Law to revoke the marital privilege law.
After some legal wrangling, Larry Carver was reindicted in November of 2011. He would be convicted of first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, burglary, and aggravated assault.
Ugh.
Yeah.
These are the type of people you don't ever want to run into. They just look evil.
Father and son.
Yeah. Waller would suffer seizures as a result of his injuries. His life would never be close to the same. 10 years after the ordeal, he died from a seizure. He was 28 years old. He made it through all of that, only to die later. Such a young age.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas Waller, February 12th, 1988 to January 20th, 2016. Ryan Thomas Waller was born on February 12th, 1988 and passed away January 20th, 2016. Man. Such a beautiful young couple. Wow.
Such a sad story.
So what does everybody think of that? What an ending.
Yeah.
Man, that stinks. That stinks that he passed
You
after
know,
hard.
I was glad that he was able to say who shot him,
Yeah.
and they were convicted of the crime, but it's still pretty sad because of what took place. He was never the same. He ended up living with his parents. They had to take care of him, and then the seizures is what, took his life.
I guess ultimately, if your life had, for me, I'm speaking for myself, if my life had been changed so dramatically, I lost the love of my life, I'm now living with my parents, life's never going to be normal for me again. I guess I don't want to say that I would want to die, but maybe that's more peaceful. Maybe he's more at peace now.
Yeah.
But still, the strength that he had to have to get through all of that. I can imagine there was probably a lot of surgeries and recovery and all of that.
Mhm.
Plus having to fight to have the people who did it put away. Having both of those things going on, that's a lot. 50 Angela said, that was a crazy story. Sorry, been listening while cooking dinner. So sad, so very sad, and so sad. Yeah, definitely. We have about a half hour. I want to kind of chat about another story that's going on right now in the news. And I think you know a little bit about it, Nettie. The Texas kids that were found in the apartment.
I don't know if I heard this story.
I was talking about it a little bit on my random live the other day. So there's a 15-year-old boy, and then he had two younger brothers, brothers or sisters. I'm not 100% sure, but he actually had three, and they were abandoned, these children, in their apartment. Not only were they abandoned in their apartment, but they were abandoned in their apartment with their dead skeletal remains of their other brother.
Oh, wow.
This was in Texas. I'm not sure what city, but so the 15-year-old was managing to feed his brothers because the neighbors were giving him food. And he wouldn't accept, like, if I made dinner and had extra dinner and tried to give it to him, he wouldn't have accepted that. He was only accepting like prepackaged food. And I don't know if that's because someone told him that it was poisoned or something. I'm not sure, but
Mm.
he would only accept prepackaged food that was still wrapped. And then he was somehow managing to keep him and his brothers alive. Now, I think the reason that he was able to do this, or the reason that nobody caught it, was because of the COVID rules. Like, you can't kick anybody out of their apartment or whatever. But
Uh-huh.
he had a phone, and he was 15, and he ended up calling the police and reporting that they had been abandoned. So the police ended up doing an investigation, and originally they let the parents walk. And I was shocked. Why weren't the
Wow.
parents arrested immediately?
Yeah.
But the parents had moved a mile down the road into a different apartment.
Yeah.
Like, it was the mom and the mom's boyfriend. And the mom's boyfriend has been charged, and he has like $1 million bond. They can't get out. When the mom was originally first charged, she would have only needed $1,200 to get out of jail. $1,200. That's it. But since then, they have added multiple other charges to her thing. So now I think she's at almost $1 million bond as well. But they say that the brother that was killed by blunt force trauma, and he was killed last Thanksgiving.
No.
So those boys lived with their dead skeletal remains of their brother while he was decomposing in the whole 9 yards. He was in a closet. And when the 15-year-old did eventually call the police, he told them, my brother's remains are in the closet. I have so many questions, though. Like, they said that the neighbor didn't call the police or report that the boy was getting food from him because he didn't want to scare the boy away. He wanted to keep the boy coming. So that's why he didn't report it. But that's not a reason to not report it. If you have a child coming to you for a year straight asking for food, and you can tell that they're not taken care of, you should be reporting it. Like, the community let these kids down so bad. Also, I've never smelt a decomposing body, but from what I've read and what I've heard, the smell is something that you will never forget. How did the apartments around that apartment not call and say that there was a smell? Like, for a year, this was in the apartment. How did they not know this was?
So they were joining apartments. They weren't like separate buildings. The apartments were.
Yeah, they were all connected. It was like wall to wall on these apartments.
And I don't understand, because if the boys were living there, the rent couldn't have been paid.
Well, they said the reason they got away with that was because of the virus, because you can't get kicked out.
Okay.
During the virus, there was a law put in place where you couldn't be kicked out of your apartment for not paying rent.
Yeah.
But like, the neighbors didn't even know that there was other kids in the apartment. They only knew about the 15-year-old. So the 15-year-old was taking care of his siblings. I guess he wasn't letting them out for fear of them being separated, is what I understand. But eventually he had to do something, so he called. But it was almost a year that they lived there by themselves and they saw, like, I think they said that the two younger ones actually saw their brother being murdered.
Oh, wow.
Have told the police the stories now of what they witnessed. This case to me screams like our society needs to step up and start making things their business, because I think our society has gotten so far to the point of not my business, I'm not going to pay attention to that, versus like, I don't want to get involved.
Yeah, turn the other cheek.
These are children. It's not like it was an adult having a domestic violence situation. In that case, you still need to get involved, but I could understand someone being a little more hands-off in that situation versus children. If you're seeing children that you slightly think might be struggling or might need help or anything, make the call. It doesn't hurt to have it looked at. But yeah, that's an ongoing story now out of Texas.
And I haven't even seen anything about that. But, we've been out and about, so I've totally missed that story.
Yeah, they finally brought the boyfriend and the mom in and charged them both, but they originally let him go. They let him walk out of the police station. And when I first started following the story, that was one of the big things, was that they were letting them walk out. And it was like, we just went through this with the Brian Laundrie thing. Why are you letting people walk away that are responsible for these crimes? Angela said, wow. Sounds like something you see on a show, not real life. Exactly. Most people just don't want to get involved anymore. Everyone watches, but no one sees. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I get that a lot of people don't have trust in our government or in our government agencies anymore. And I don't want to get political, because I'm not going to talk about where I stand politically, but I will say that one thing I have noticed is that nobody really has faith in our systems anymore, whether that be family court or government programs or our president. We've all lost faith, but that doesn't mean we need to lose faith in humanity. Like,
Right.
we need to be watching out for each other, and we need to be watching out for our children. Our children are the next people that are going to run this country and that are going to be able to make it better if we're worried about it now, so we need to make sure that they're okay. I don't know. That's just something that really broke my heart, was to find out these kids have been living like that for a year, and their neighbors knew that something wasn't right, and that's heartbreaking. Jen Jucker says, but I can understand, my sister. I believe you are correct. We should step up and get involved. Sounds like abuse. Yes, very much. The neighbors may be distrustful of having children's services poking around.
Yeah.
I understand that. Like I said, I completely understand being distrustful of any kind of government agencies, and Division of Family Services is a big one. There's so many horror stories of children being removed for the wrong reasons. But in my eyes, is it worth risking them being removed for the wrong reason versus they've been coming to you for a year needing food? The children were like years smaller than they were supposed to be too. So like the 15-year-old looked like he was a 10-year-old. They were very malnutritioned. There's just a time when you can tell something's very wrong. And I feel like this situation, people should have known there was something very wrong.
Especially that length of time. When do you finally, bring it to somebody's attention? After, I would say, a month, then I would be very skeptical of what is going on here. Where you need to report it, not like a year.
Yeah, and like, even if you didn't want to report it right away, you could do things like watch out the window and see, is the parents ever coming in and out? Have you ever seen the parents? Set a timeline. Like, okay, so I'm going to give it a month. And if I don't see a parent enter that apartment in a month's time, I'm making a phone call. Like, something, a year is just way too long. And the neighbors still didn't call. It still wasn't the neighbors that called in the end. It was the 15-year-old who finally got up the courage to make the phone call.
And it seems like that apparently they probably weren't living in a good area. It seems like that to me, as far as why nobody wanted to bring it to anybody's attention, because of course they were thinking of themselves, is how it seems, and not wanting it to come back to them. But man, I'm glad that he still had service or had a phone that he was able to contact finally,
Well, and I think this is my thought on this is them parents may not have been going to that apartment, but they still had complete control over those kids.
Oh yeah.
The kids weren't leaving the apartment. The 15-year-old was the only one that went out, and he only went out to get food. So imagine you watched your sibling get murdered, then your parents ended up abandoning you. My thought is this phone was there so that the parents could still call and drill into their brains, brainwash them and make them feel a certain way. And I can't imagine how badly brainwashed this child had to be in order to not make that phone call for a year. He hadn't seen his parents. They hadn't been over there to physically do anything at that for a year. But he was so brainwashed that he couldn't make that phone call for a year. That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
But I can understand, my sister. I believe you are correct. We should step up and get involved. It sounds like abuse. Oh, okay. I read that one. The neighbors may be distrustful. That's right. We should not lose faith in humanity. We should say something. Our system is zombie sensitized. Not my problem. Well, whose problem is it? Exactly. That's, I don't know. I cover a lot of these crime stories. I follow a lot of these crime stories because it's very much an interest to me. But there are some of them that just leave me completely distraught. And this was
Yeah.
one of those. It was just like, how did we as a
Society,
how did we as a
just
society fail these children so miserably? I was watching another story. I need to catch up on where it's at now, but I think I've talked about it on here before, where there was a family from Florida. The woman was a contestant on America's Got Talent or American Idol, one of the two. And so she was kind of famous, but she had several children, and she didn't believe in like I don't want to say she didn't believe in. She's more of like holistic health, like
hmm
more natural remedies for
yeah.
health and stuff like that. And so she had a 3-year-old that got sick, and he had a vitamin deficiency when she took him to the emergency room. Well, they decided to call family services on her because they were saying she was malnutritioning this child. She was
hmm
still breastfeeding. She just wasn't producing enough breast milk was kind of the issue. And
Yeah.
they were willing to do whatever needed to be done. But somehow the lines got crossed. People didn't understand. So they took the child away from her. Sad, right?
Yeah.
It gets worse. So she gives birth to a baby that she was pregnant with, hence why she was having such a hard time developing the milk, because she was pregnant with another child. So she gets pregnant, gives birth to this child at home. She has a home birth. Again, I said they're very holistic, natural stuff. So the next day, she takes the baby to her pediatrician. Her pediatrician says the baby is fine, everything's fine. Well, they get pulled over on the highway and they record the whole thing. There are so many cops that pull them over. Family services is there, and they're taking her newborn baby away. And this is a baby that's breastfeeding from her, that's never had any formula, that's only known her. And now they're taking her newborn baby away. And they wouldn't let her ride with them to the hospital to have the baby checked out. It was a whole thing.
Oh wow.
And so I see both sides. I see where our system is failing miserably, our children. But then I also see this other side where we're failing our children,
Yeah.
and it's like we need to figure it out. Something needs to happen because our children are our future. And we all know that. So I just get a little confused as to what's going on. But if anybody knows about that Florida story that I'm talking about, let me know over there in the chat. I haven't checked up on it in a while, but the weird thing was they had several children, and only the 3-year-old and the newborn were taken away. The rest were left in their custody. So it's kind of like, well,
Yeah.
why? I mean, if there's a problem, you need to protect all the
Mhm.
children. So
Yeah.
Hitch Up and Doe said we should do much better. Don't you know that it is all our problem? Love thy neighbor as you love thyself. And if you see your neighbor in trouble anymore, step in, I think. I agree. Definitely agree.
Now the Texas couple, are they arrested or did they?
They are.
You were saying that they.
They let them go originally, and then I think it was like a day, maybe 2 days later, and they went and arrested them. She
Okay.
turned on him. She ended up telling the police that he did do the murder and that it,
Yeah.
she reported on him. My question is though, like, I don't care how abused I was. If somebody murdered my child,
Yeah.
I'm not leaving the rest of my children and moving to another apartment. So I don't want to see this situation turn into she was abused and that's why she made the choices she made, because
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you in the chat will agree with me, but as a mother, my children are the most important thing to me, the very most important thing to me. So there is no way I would continue to allow or chance anything else happening if that had happened. First of all, that would never happen.
Yeah.
For me, that would just never happen. But
Yeah.
I would not continue to risk that happening to any more of my children. Even if they had moved, he could easily go over there and take care of the rest of them because they witnessed what happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
just feel like
I
she
agree.
didn't do anything to protect her children.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they are both arrested. Originally, the mom's charges were just shake your head. What is going on? Why is she only charged with, I think there was only two things, and neither one of them was tampering with a corpse after the fact, and then the other was child neglect. Those were the only two charges she had received at the very beginning. And that's when they said she could get a $1,200 bond and get out.
Yeah.
And everybody was freaking out because they're like, wait a minute, first you let them walk, now they're back, and now she can easily bond out. But they ended up giving her much more charges. No mother in here, in her right mind, would leave her children. Exactly. Unless they're my kids. Agree, BB. I love my children with all my heart and more. I'd take a bullet for them. If anyone did anything to harm my children, I'd be in a grave. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah. I have been through a domestic violence situation. I don't talk about it all that much. I want to talk more about it, and hopefully I can soon, because I want other women to know they don't have to stay.
Yeah.
But I have been through the ringer. I have been through some really nasty crap. And one thing that I made sure of is my children never were touched. If the person that was harming me would have chose to touch my children, it had been on like Donkey Kong. When it came to myself, I didn't love myself enough.
Yeah.
But I loved my children more than anything, and there would have been no way anyone would have touched my children. And so when I speak about this and talk about from a domestic violence situation, or from a domestic violence view, I understand how you would end up in that situation, or why you might stay in that situation for longer than you need to. I will never understand a child being harmed, though. That part, for me, I just can't wrap my head around. I think if you are a mother or a father, you love your children more than you love yourself, so you protect them at all cost. So, well, we have about 10 minutes left. Nettie, what did you just release recently? Because you are releasing your videos on Saturdays now, right?
Right.
Okay.
We released the dinosaur park that we went to in South Dakota. Yeah. It was a really cool little park, and no, not yet. The park. Mal's talking to me. Yeah, and we're working on another one to come out this Saturday. But other than that, we're just in Texas with family, and we're here for the holidays, and we're just staying busy.
Thank you, Thrifty Angela. I think Thrifty Angela follows me on TikTok. If any of you follow me over on TikTok, I did open up a little bit more about my situation. Over there, I'm not being watched by the significant ex. But so I can be a little more open there. Hopefully soon I'll be able to be as open as I want here as well. But yeah, on TikTok, I can be a little bit more open. So my name over there is BeyondBeauty3. Unfortunately, BeyondBeauty3 was taken.
You expanded to 37.
Hitch up and toe. I'm too old for TikTok. You know what? I thought I was too. And there is a grandma on there. There's quite a few grandmas, but there is one grandma on there that is, I think she's got to be close to 70, 80, somewhere around there. There's another guy that's older than her. I think he's 80 or 9, like between 80 and 90. And the two of them, everybody's trying to get them two to hook up, which I think is so
that's
funny.
funny.
But the grandma dances. She does all these fancy dances and stuff from way back when, like the old time dances. She does those, and she can move. There are people of all ages over there on TikTok. I have fun with the little sayings.
I was going to say you do such a great job, but now I'm curious. Are you going to do some dance ones?
Maybe. For right now, I'm still a floating head. But I like the little voiceovers. There's one I just did today that says something about, I don't have friends, but I have a lot of strangers. And then all of a sudden you hear like somebody yelling help in the background and I disappear off the camera. But I love them. I think they're so fun. They're just so goofy. Harvey and Richie said, busting a move. I thought I was too, but I'm getting the hang of it, and it is helping with the YouTube side. Yes, exactly. I do share my YouTube over here. I share it to people on TikTok to, have them come over here, or I'll go into live chats and everybody will start talking about, crime stuff, and I'll be like, oh, you can check out my channel. So it does help with TikTok. I can dance to the fridge and back. Thrifty Angela says, I love your TikTok videos. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, your expressions crack me up. You do such a great job with them.
They're fun. There's so many, like the bearded dragon one. Oh my gosh. I shared that here on YouTube, but everybody was taking their significant other or their dog or their cat and using it as the bearded dragon or as the dragon. And I was like, I have an actual dragon, so I'm going to use my dragon. Yeah, I think it's fun. There's some drama right now over on TikTok with the bigger creators, but
oh no,
I stay away from all the drama and just do the little silly stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Thrifty Angela. My kids are like, no, I'm not following you. I'm like, but you got to follow me so I can send you the funny videos. Because when I find funny videos, I'll send them. And they're like, I don't want anybody to know I know you.
That's funny.
I get it. I wouldn't have wanted to follow my mom either. All right. So we have, anybody got a premiere coming up after us today? Do you know? Anybody know? Uh-oh, I didn't even know about the drama. Yeah. The only reason I know about the drama is because there's a big group called Content Violation. They like tour or something like that. There's some police officers and there's just a bunch of them that are goofy and silly. Well, where you get a bunch of adults together, there will always be some kind of drama. So like 2 of the 15 adults had drama, and now all 15 adults are involved in the drama. So
I don't see anything. I'm looking.
Well, even if we don't have anybody right after us, I know that Box Van D will come on. I think we have an hour between us and her. Now I'm kind of interested. Thrifty Angela, do you know who Officer Kingerly is? Or Officer Udi? Those are, if you look up either one of those, your For You page will start showing you the drama. That's the way TikTok works, which is really, I wish YouTube kind of worked that way, where if you look up something, anything that is in that category will start to be shown to you. And it's, so if I looked up true crime, most of my For You page would be true crime. Whereas on YouTube, they kind of give you everything. They show you everything. Red-Headed Riding Hood. Hello and welcome.
Hey.
I was trying to tell Hippie, though, that TikTok actually is better for YouTube than Instagram is. So I've been on Instagram for years, and the amount of people that I have following me has kind of steadily, slowly risen. On TikTok pushes everybody out. So I won't get on there for a couple days. I'll get on there and all of a sudden I have 10 new followers. So it does definitely grow quicker than Instagram. Mm-hmm. And so when you go to share out everything, like sharing your YouTube to TikTok, you get to a bigger audience. Fordman said, Boxman D is what she has on her community tab. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, she's not going to go live today.
All right. Yeah, I don't get that much from Instagram. I'm loving TikTok. Yes. All right. Well, as always, I love Sundays. I love chit-chatting with all of you. They're my favorite day of the week.
Yep, mine too.
With that said, wishing you all much kindness and much love. Thank you for joining us.
We're sending love your way. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.